All right.
We live.
Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I guess we should do the disclaimer again. Just to make
Sure. Yeah. So once again, welcome to Hidden Laws podcast. Hidden Black Laws. I don't know why I keep doing that.
Man, you keep on.
I did it twice. All right. Yeah. So once again, this cast is here for educational and informational purposes only. Also entertainment if you enjoy the information presented. But also if you are seeking legal advice, please do get counsel and be so advised. The background here will be in law and cited for the record. But once again, if you are seeking aid in a legal matter, please do get counsel and be so advised.
Oh, give me 1 second.
You got it. This is for your own edification and knowledge.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
Yeah, I want to speak on that what you just said too, because we said counsel. Make sure you like you said, all words matter. We said counsel. You say an attorney.
Yep.
That's why they differentiate even when they speaking to you about it. They say you have the right to counsel. Then they say you have a right to attorney. They separate the two for a reason, because counsel does not mean specifically attorney.
Yo, I was reading that doc you sent.
So I'm just throw that out there real quick. Which one?
The one about literally the bar association and what it allows.
The British accredited. What was it? Accredited registry.
Yeah.
So we can talk. Let's do that real quick, just because it's new information to me. Because personally, I know what the bar association is, but I've never actually gotten to the point where I actually cared to know what bar meant in the first place. But it's a British accredited registry, which means you are basically the king's version of basically. Well, actually, the British. I should just say the British wording of the legal system. And it's British registry. It doesn't say American registry. It doesn't say It doesn't say universal or international. It says British. And that's why they have the term Esquire, which is the notion of nobility, which is not allowed in the United States. We don't have titles of nobility in the United States. So Esquire is technically an illegal thing to do when you're going into law or any form of or saying that you are an attorney, because now you have claimed a title of nobility, which means you should get preference according to the courts itself. So anything you say should be above what anybody else is saying. So once you say you're an esquire, you're saying that I am more important. What my words mean, what my words are mean more to court than what anyone else says. So remember that next time you go into the court and they say they're a member of the bar association. But whatever. Don't take my word for it. You can go Google it. It's in plain sight.
Feel free to look up the term barrister if you should do so. That's a BARRISTER. And it's funny because they're apprentices. I didn't even know that. I was like, dang, they're apprentices.
Well, you can't be a master of law, since law is as we've stated here before many times over, is a common right of everyone to study and to present and to do it. You cannot be there's no such thing as a licensed lawyer. You can be a licensed attorney. Well, actually, I can't even say licensed attorney. You can be a registered or certified attorney if you want to be technical. They'll consider themselves licensed and they will call themselves licensed, but they are never actually licensed by any state, because the state doesn't give out licenses to attorneys. If you actually call them the licensing administration for whatever state you live in, they will let you know, and they will tell you they don't license any attorney.
I love how they couch information away from you. Like, this is known, but we ain't going to tell you.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. As long as it's made known, you can't say that we kept it from you. You just didn't do your due diligence. You didn't seek out the information. That's not on us. We didn't tell you how to learn.
That reminds me of my friend's got like an IG name, and he's always he's one of those smart cats. But when people get like the terms and conditions, so his little IG name is too stupid to read it all.
Yeah, pretty much. But that was just a short little tidbit, just because I found it interesting. That's what we said. So that was a good, nice little diatribe. I'm sorry about that. My little rant.
Yeah, I was gonna call it a digression, but it was really enrichment.
Yes, yeah. All information is good information as long as you know how to use it.
Matter of fact, hold on one second. I just need to go grab my law dictionary because I remember we was going. I gotta get that dictionary. I had that definition on hand for you.
Okay. We'll get the black stuff. What we're actually going to do is make sure that the definitions and wording has not changed over time, because a lot of times over the years it takes many years, sometimes hundreds of years, before a word is actually clarified or changed into a manner that is more suitable for the times. Because law is not like English. It's not like any other language where those are common words. Those are the speech of the area, of the region. Those things can change all the time. Just because people have, even doing your state, you have colloquial terms that you have in the South that are not in the North. Everybody, like, if you go to New York, they'd be like, they all literally would be like, how are you, God? Peace to God, stuff like that.
Yeah. Peace King.
Peace King, stuff like that. But if you go down south, they'll call you folk.
Regional vernacular, if you will.
Yeah. So same thing with regular words that we use in English every day. Those are just regional terms that basically agree upon definition for what we're using. That doesn't mean they are the definitions. It's just that we're just going to use it for that right now.
Here, we're all good with the fact that this means this. If you go over there, they might not understand at all what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's very important to notice when words are local versus when they're global. Ah, yes. There it is. All right. Let me grab, because I know that they can see that, but for me, that's tough to see. But I got one.
You
want to read it?
No, you got it, because I don't have mine pulled up actually.
All right, cool. Mine's is never far from where I'm at. Got it. All right, you ready?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, let's do it.
Thank you, Bart. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I wish I could flip this, but all right, it's all good. Hale versus Henkel was decided by the United States Supreme Court in 1906. The opinion of the court states, the individual may stand upon his constitutional rights as a citizen. He is entitled to carry on his private business in his own way. His power to contract is unlimited. He owes no duty to the state or his neighbors to divulge his business or to open his doors to an investigation, so far as it may tend to incriminate him. He owes no duty to the state, since he receives nothing therefrom beyond the protection of his life and property. His rights, as such, are such as existed by the law of the land, i.e., common law, long antecedent to the organization of the state, and can only be taken from him by due process of law, and in accordance with the Constitution. He owes nothing to the public so long as he does not trespass upon their rights. So, governmental policy, you really have no reason to engage with that. If you're fully cognizant of your even if you want to be fully cognizant of your citizenship, it says Hale versus Henkel. But I was gonna say your rights, but sure. Even the stuff they try to trap you with has a get out of jail free card if you understand how to get out of jail.
Yeah. That's funny if you said that. Get out of jail free card. It's Yeah, and every time I hear it, it gives me a breath of fresh air. Um, like I said, I'm gonna repackage air and call it breath. Sell it to the people. But yeah, so it's just like a breath of fresh air, and that's the slogan. My slogan is breath of fresh air.
That's hilarious.
Well, yeah, it's always like just listening to it. That's all I get is that good calming feeling.
It's good, man. It's funny. Oh man, that ties in so well with what we're getting into today with our topic. Because I guess I should just might as well divulge that we're going to be discussing the origin and nature of the republic form of government. And
Yeah.
So
Clarify.
yeah,
Republicans does not mean republic. There are two separate. The notions of political parties has nothing to do with what they constitute. So always clarify and make sure you are aware that just because a party calls themselves Democrat or Republican does not mean they have anything to do with the republic or democracy.
Hey, I always go back to that idea. Federal Express has nothing to do with the federal government.
No.
Yeah,
Federal Reserve
Reserve
has nothing to do with the federal government. A driveway, you can't drive on it. A parkway, you can't park on it. So, you always got to be clear on just because people call things one say them as a form of naming it doesn't mean it has anything to do with their name.
Yeah, people call things stuff all the time. Don't mean that's what you're looking at. Yeah. A killer whale, man, he got a bad rap. Who gave him that name? The most murderous species on the planet. Anyway. All right. So should I go ahead and define a republic so we have a ground to stand on here?
Yeah.
All right, so you know what it is. Keep that thing on me. All right, here we go. Republic. A system of government in which the people hold sovereign power and elect representatives who exercise that power. It contrasts, on the one hand, with a pure democracy in which the people or community as an organized whole wield the sovereign power of government, and on the other, with the rule of one person, such as a king or dictator, or of an elite group, such as an oligarchy, aristocracy, or a junta.
Yeah. Go ahead and elaborate on that. Give me 1 second. I'm make sure I got. You know what? I forgot to get mine, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it because it's hard trying to pull up my phone and all that stuff. So I'm just get my dictionary myself.
All right.
Okay. I'll be right back.
You got it. So, and I got a little further light to shed on the idea of a republic. So here is from a Robert A. Dahl in a preface to Democratic Theory from 1956 says, a republic is a government which A, derives all of its power directly or indirectly from the great body of the people, and B, is administered by persons holding their office during pleasure for a limited period or during good behavior. Oh man, that's interesting. That they even kind of go forward and let you know that public officials really can only hold that office underneath an honor code that they're performing in good faith. So I wasn't even aware of that concept, but it makes perfect sense considering the background we're going to give you on the republic form of government and who they derived their base core ideals from.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. I'm back.
All right,
to clarify how much this means to both of us. As you can see, mine is still wrapped up, and I keep it. I got a bubble wrap around it to make sure it stays good. This is the Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition.
Yes, sir.
The real.
That thing thick, boy.
Yeah, because it's real. This is the one that nobody want to talk about. This is the one that gives you the case law to go with the legal definitions and citations in it, which messes up a lot of newer cases, and which is contrast to the version my brother has, because they made sure to delete anything that would give you clarification on how to use terminology. Because if you don't know how to use the terminology, well, it doesn't matter if you understand if the words are written to you. So, yeah, that's that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Man, this joint is thick. Hold on.
Looking biblical over there.
Man, it's the same size. It's a good one. It depends on what version you're talking about, but we're not going to get into that. Dang. Ooh, this drink is healthy. All right. So, where does yours stop as far as what it says about the Republic?
Oh, yeah. It just gave one. It just gave one concise definition. Exactly what I read, and then it kind of went on. It gave one citation from a book about it's called a preface to democratic theory, where a guy just gave a quote on it. It's not necessarily case law though.
So in my angst to that is, why are they trying to tell you about democracy when it's supposed to be talking about republic?
And well, they kind of, so they did that to tell you that it's opposed to democracy.
It's
to let you know that they're not. Well, yeah, they're not one and the same.
Okay. Yeah, because
they did a bad idea. They did a bad job of explaining democracy in that idea, though, because they try to make it seem like, democracy is just rule of the people, but it's literally rule of the majority of people. So anytime it flips 51%, that's the rule of law in a real true democracy.
That's democracy, but a democracy is also when it's a governmental rule. It's not a people's rule. It's a government.
Yeah.
A democracy has to be a group thought, which would constitute, a party or whatever you want to call it, or a governmental rule. Because you have to have, in order for that to take place, for it to be 51%. Well, people have to be in groups.
They have to align. Yeah, but it's funny with that, because that means, it literally means what the democracy means, though. The people are the government. So you become the party by virtue of, if you vote on something, you're pro this, you're pro that. But it literally goes down the lines of every issue.
You have become government. You are doing
exactly.
Government. And then the people who you have put in position, who are called the government themselves, are supposed to do what you say in that form. As opposed to republic, which is, is all open to all citizens. Basically, everyone is their own individual representative. They don't have representatives. They are their representative.
Yeah, they're in their sovereign power.
And always remember, too, it says, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. So, they tell you every day when you woke up and went to school that it was a republic. It wasn't democracy.
Mm-hmm.
But sure, go ahead.
It's funny because they only talk about democracy while making you acknowledge that you live in a republic.
Yeah. So, I think the definition in the older form that I have is a lot more concise. It just says a commonwealth, that form of government in which the administration of affairs is open to all citizens. In other sense, it signifies the state independently of this form of government. So you are your independent state. You are the state independently in that form of government. So when they make up states, it's all the independent kings, if you want to put it that way. It's all the independent kings and queens of the territory coming into collaboration and saying, okay, we'll have this person, this individual represent all of us together. is coming into a group, like we just said earlier about group thought. So we're saying this is going to make it easier for us to do things. So we're going to let this individual represent the group of us, so it's easier for us to do business.
Yeah. Oh, and matter of fact, yo, did you catch that? Further clarification from basically, I gave like a quote to accompany my definition.
Say it again. Let's just make sure.
All right, cool. Because it's kind of interesting. Because he do shed light on something that, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me seeing it. But basically, he said a republic is a government which A, derives all of its power directly or indirectly from the great body of the people, and B, is administered by persons holding their office during pleasure for a limited period or during good behavior.
Yes.
So it kind of, that honor status upon people who are elected to represent the people of a republic. Like it's supposed to be done in good faith only.
Yes, it always is. That's why they say you have to be in good standing. When you do things, you have to honor. You have to be in honor when you're in government, or when you are working for the government. You have to work in honor, which basically means you should be doing no wrong or harm to anyone while in office. That is because that is not the purpose of your job. Is not to harm people. And actually, what we we read the other day, Title 18, Part 13, subsection 242, where it talked about if you do anything that is harming to people. Now you don't even actually have to do anything that is physical in nature, but if you do something to harm the people of as far as your job is concerned, your career, your duty, then you are liable and you can be held accountable with prison time or monetary or both.
Or even death if the case is so egregious.
If the case is so egregious where somebody actually dies because of what you said. So anytime you hear somebody talk about drug laws or oaths of office or police brutality that ended in death, always remember Title 18, Part 13, subsection 242 that they never talk about, but we did.
Yeah, see, well, that's what happens when you're a barrister or a barrister. That's their pleasure, that conversation they're allowed to have in secret. That's not really it's not a courtroom procedure. So, yeah, that's that bar association stuff,
The first duty to court as a member of the bar association, your first duty is to court, not your client. Your client comes second.
It's funny. That reminds me of that giant Kwame Brown be talking about these days. He called it the go along, get along gang.
Yeah, pretty much. People, freedom is scary. Servitude is easy.
Big facts.
But let's continue on with the Republic and what we stated.
Yeah, we had some
bullet points.
We had some ideas we definitely wanted to reiterate. So yeah, you just talked about 242. I know we were supposed to actually, I see even before we were supposed to do the definition of a republic, we should have gotten into Article 3, Section 2. But well, I mean, actually, it makes more sense the way we just did it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it makes more sense because you can understand it more. Well, it better clarifies the Constitution for the United States of America. And if you don't notice, I always say for the United States of America because that's what is actually written. It's not anything else.
That's the official title.
Yes.
Of the document. All right. Would you like me to go over Article 3, Section 2, or you want to read it?
You can go ahead.
All right. So it's very important. Yeah. So Clause 1. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects. They were very, very detailed in their listing of all the matters in which the United States government presides over. Nowhere in there did it say men and women or people. I mean, for obvious reasons.
Actually, it didn't even say citizens within a state, because they don't have federal jurisdiction between citizens within a state unless they have controversy with other states.
Yep, yeah, they did, and they specifically said it as such.
Yes, you can't. They can't. That's so. So that's what they call it. That's what they call the state government comes into play, where the state controls the citizenship of within that territory. Outside that territory, they have no ability to do anything. That's why a lot of those
jurisdiction.
Yeah, that's where jurisdiction comes in. That's where those false claims of Texas, where they were trying to say, the votes in Idaho or Indiana or Chicago weren't valid. It's like, well, you don't live there, so I don't know why you're talking. That's why they got tossed out, because you really have no jurisdiction. You have no claim to anything because you don't live in any states. You're just some guy from like bum. I won't say it. You know what I'm talking about. Out of nowhere, you in some backwaters town talking about, I want his mansion. He's not doing it properly. His employees aren't being fed well. You don't live here. Go to your house.
It's funny because that's like I'm always taking things back to natural law, but it's real. Like that goes back to the streets. Like, what you doing over there speaking on another man's situation? Like, where they do that at?
Yeah, Texas try to come into somebody else's territory and somebody else's hood, and people start yelling, hey, where you from? What you doing around here? Where you going? I don't know if you had those instances, but yeah, hey, what's up? It was like, dang, you know what? I'm not even supposed to be here.
Yeah, I better slide up out of here.
Let me get up out of here real quick before it get real hot. But that's a whole different.
That's a different matter. But yeah, so the framers of the Constitution, as I'm gonna get deeper into, I keep alluding to it, but were very what's the word I want to use? They were very
They were advised.
Well, yeah, but and all that. I mean, they were very deliberate and detailed in explaining the function of the government to be understood that it really shouldn't interfere with the comings and goings of any man or woman or child.
Yes, government is supposed to stay out of your business.
And they said maritime admiralty. That's the law they preside over. You see how they didn't say rights or judicial powers. They didn't talk about actual law. They talked about commerce. That's their domain.
If it doesn't have to do with business, that's why everything has to do with different states, different countries, different people interacting from different territories, because your territory rule might not be the next man's territorial rule and what they go by. So that's where they come into play, and why it is a democracy, because we have to have a collaboration between all these United States to make documents and to make agreements, so where we can do business not just within the United States but also internationally. So because we were always doing business with England, so once you still go do business with England and Spain and all those other countries, South America, Mexico, those countries that you have to do business with, you have to
transnational commerce.
You have to make sure that you are united in your understanding of how we're going to do this. As the states are concerned, make sure the states are united, or United States are making these claims.
That's what a uniform commercial code is good for that kind of stuff. Yes. A uniform commercial code, but at the same time, that code was specifically supposed to be,
was supposed to be when doing business with United States. And it doesn't have to do with anything else. You know, even if you read the Uniform Commercial Code from, what was it? I think 1942. I think it was 1982. Which one was it? I can't remember. I have it written down somewhere. The
You
exact
got me
date.
on this one.
I have the exact date written down because I actually have a copy of the original where it says it is just for the Washington D.C. territory, no place else. It can only only instituted in you, and once you get to Washington D.C.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's 16-mile radius.
Yeah, they said that's what it's for. The Uniform Commercial Code only applies to the United States, and the United States at all times is just the 16 block, territory of Washington D.C. But you know what? That's neither here nor there, and we're not going into that right now for today. We're gonna take care of that in another cast. But yeah,
like, I just want y'all to understand. Think about it like this: you got like an agency like the DEA, and what are they attacking? They're looking for people who are drug trafficking. They're not, oh my God, these drug traffickers are so bad. They're corrupting innocent. No, they're after them because they're making money that the United States isn't putting on their books. Trafficking. It's the business.
Traffic had to do with, me going to work. I thought that was.
Well, yeah, you get caught. I mean, it's a form, but I would ask you to clarify that. I mean, if you want to go around with that understanding, good luck. But yeah, so
that's what I heard. I heard that was traffic.
Well, yeah, that's what the people will tell you.
Yeah, but whatever. I don't know.
All right, so let's see, back onto this docket. So we clarified those two deals. Okay, so your choice here. We're gonna do one of those potpourri game show styles. You want to talk about the Iroquois tribe framing of the Constitution, or why? Like, go straight in there.
Go straight in.
Right, cool.
Mess up their heads.
Oh yeah.
This is going to pretty much hurt your feelings. As far as factual information. Remember, all the stuff is written down. All the stuff has been reviewed and verified, if you will, before any information is put out there, because it is factual information, and all facts matter, all words matter.
Yep. All right. So now, to understand this, let me give you a greater context. If you want to ever do your own, as I like to continue to call it, edification, building of self, look up the Great Law of Peace. And what you understand there is, good luck for me pronouncing this. It'd be, there were the 6 nations known as the Haudenosaunee. Yeah, good job. All right. Those were the groups of the Mohawk, the Onondaga, the Oneida, Yunga, Seneca, and Tuscarora. Tuscarora peoples. And they it was actually an orally submitted constitution. And basically what you'll find is that it was basically ratified in modern day New York amongst these tribes who had to basically commingle in order to survive the treacherous environment, because of course life back then wasn't nearly as simple as it is now. So they couldn't be warring amongst tribes while trying to combat weather and literally the territory they're in. So they eventually built this great treaty of peace, or great law of peace, actually. And it was like 117 articles, so it's amazing that they had that confined to an oral tradition. But Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and a couple other framers of the original U.S. Constitution for the United States of America were made aware of this upon interacting with the tribes, and were so impressed. It was the most unique law of peace that had been seen since the Egyptian societies. Never had so many nations been able to coincide, with one another without breaking out into intertribal wars. So what you'll notice is when you look at all these the symbols and imagery added to Look at the U.S. symbols: the bald eagle, the bundle of arrows. All that, it was them acknowledging their the framers, the original framers. And what you'll actually go on to learn is when they were actually doing the meetings to start like the discussions about the Constitution, framing it, they actually had the Iroquois in the upper deck, and as they were chiseling out their Constitution, you'll find that they had to go upstairs and seek counsel from the Iroquois to make sure that they were correctly depicting the way in which their laws produce harmony, which is why you'll see all this stuff in our Constitution about why the man is always above government and it protects the rights of people in the name of God. And see, it's funny for all these people who keep wanting to update the Constitution. The way it's written literally protects you from
updating it.
All sorts of oligarchy, all sorts of corruption. It's pure in its nature. People don't understand.
It was written in a way and purposely to make sure that no one could ratify or contradict what is already written. That was how it was written.
It's funny though, because I was actually doing some more further research and come to find out people contend with whether or not the Iroquois had how much they had to do with the framing of the Constitution. But I'm going to argue that, of course, the original framers, being who they were, slave-owning white men, definitely tried to find loopholes whenever they could, because basically what they point to is the lack of suffrage rights for women, because the Native American tribes would have respected all people as wholes. Of course, that group of men, slid in some stuff, took out some stuff, tried to bend it to their will, but tried to pretend, to preserve as much honor as they could on the face.
Well, honor between them, honor amongst men.
Yeah.
They honor amongst men back then did not mean honor amongst women. It just meant honor amongst men. So they try to make protections to make sure that you are protected and your wife is protected. Everyone else is no. They don't really care about it.
So apparently Benjamin Franklin was actually the one who there was the Treaty of Lancaster. Yes. It was in 1744, and he was actually passing out that document to his fellow founders to illustrate the ideas that were so resonant with them when they first got here.
Yeah. These are both documents that you will never even hear mentioned when you're talking about the framing of the United States, along with the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta was the document from England that is also the basis for our government. But these things are not spoken of simply because those things contradict a lot of what people will attempt to tell you the United States is about and for, and how it is ran.
It interferes with business.
It interferes with business, exactly. Well, yes, if you want to be, I was trying to be nice about it, but it interferes with business. Actually how things are done and the wording that is used and why it is used and what it represents. That interferes with business, because business is about making sure when the people of a nation are the business itself, telling them that you do not have to agree with whatever the business is being done, because you are your own independent nation, messes up business profusely. So,
yeah, it gives you a way stronger position in the discussions if you understand your sovereignty. That's why they try to belittle they created the concept and belittle the idea of a sovereign citizen to create the what's the word I'm looking for? Contradiction within the meaning of the term. So if you ever claim such a status, they could just hammer you in court.
Actually, the funniest thing to do, what I find fun, I just love to do, is ask anyone who uses the term sovereign citizen to tell you the definition from in law, what it means in law, and to look it up and see what the legal term is. And they will tell you, well, it's not. Now, everyone will tell you it's funny. Those are the funniest ones because the ones who actually know, they'll be like, "Well, it's not." So why are you even using it if you know this is a made up word?
They won't have an answer for you. I'm sure that's where the conversation ends.
That's when it is where the conversation ends. I can't lie. I'm not going to try to pretend like it continues. It doesn't really continue after that. They just get mad and
I don't really know how I could continue beyond that point. There's so much discord in the discussion. Like we can't even be consistent about the meaning of words. I don't know what we can discuss.
Yeah. Fabrication is a great, tool when you're trying to create fear and force or impose theories and opinions on someone else.
Ooh, I like this. Here, so all right, I'm gonna give you the title of a book and give you the author's explanation or thought pattern here. So in Hierarchy in the Forest, the evolution of egalitarian behavior, political anthropologist Christopher Boehm considers the U.S. Constitution to be a counter-dominant strategy that allows citizens to dominate their leader rather than the other way around. He also concludes that the Founding Fathers borrowed wisely from the Iroquois tribal government in forming the Constitution, having recently been dominated by a foreign king. I didn't even think about it that way. And, them coming out of the rule of the European monarchy really made the Iroquois Constitution really beautiful to them.
Yes, hit home. It hit home with them because you were not subjected to someone else's demands on you, and you're in their form of governing or doing things. Coming from England, where everyone was subjected to one man's will or one woman will, you kind of get, when anyone's subjected to an inferiority status where someone else can just tell you what to do at a whim, you kind of get pissed off at life. So remember that next time you hear someone says the government said, because anytime one individual or a group or just less than 1%ers tells you this is how it's going to be and you have to do it, remember that. And that when you're talking about what is constitutional, what is lawful,
there's a term I'm going to hold on to here. It's so good. He called the Constitution a counter-dominance strategy, because you remember that conversation we had the other day about Civics 101. Governments are inherently predisposed to imprisoning people who are against what they're attempting to do. So automatically, a smart person would arm themselves against the government in any fashion possible, because the government hopes to dominate the thought of the people. Government, mind control. We do this every day.
So we just just go to make sure we give get context is we're just clarifying terms and logic. Trying to make everything logical.
Being deliberately exhaustive in our explanation of these matters to you. We would like to leave no stone unturned. So that's why I'm allowing this idea to go, because we still got one more thing to discuss here, which of course was why must laws be voted in? I think if you've been paying any attention to this conversation thus far, you may be able to define an idea as to why that might be. But I'm sure we can also help you arrive there. So, we just did all this talk about the Republic. Oh, well, look, we just talked about the Republican form of government. The Republic form of government. Excuse me. And we just explained that the people are sovereign, but representatives push for initiatives at the pleasure of the people that they represent. So these officials are never doing anything in their own capacity. They represent the will of the people. So with that, as you can see in the quote unquote democratic form of government that they try to indoctrinate you into believing you're in a part of, does kind of they put stuff on the Senate floor. You always see what's what do they call them, the legislative branch of government. That's we need to, when you're dealing with that, you really need to be able to have a firm grasp of the ideas of law and policy and how to separate the two.
Yes. Know the difference between law and policy. If it's called a statute, well, it's a form of law, but what
is it?
form of law is it? Well, it's commerce.
Okay, you're right. Well, okay, so it's admiralty maritime law.
And that's why I say you got to ask what form of law, because you always ask what form of law whenever you're doing anything, because there's only two forms. People will try to tell you there's more unless you're talking to a judge, and that's the one thing. I think probably the only time I've ever had discussions where we actually talk about the two forms of law and how there are only two forms of law has when I've spoken to a judge. And judges really are they tell the truth most of the time. Judges tell the truth. People do not, because remember, they have to act in honor. They have to act under honor. They're acting under their oath. They cannot act in dishonor, or else they can lose their position, because their position is based upon you acting in honor. You have to do things that are honorable. So it's some of the only times I've actually heard the truth come out is when speaking to judges. Now, if they know there are two forms of government, and there are two forms of law. If they know that there are two forms of law when you go into a courtroom, and you do not contest which form of law you're using while in the courtroom, they're just going with whatever is being said in the courtroom because they know the difference between the two. So by whatever's presented, they can tell already before the day is started what form they're going to be using.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know, but I mean, their job is to know. What is your job?
Well, I would hope your job would be to know, but I don't know.
Technically, it is your job to know. It is your job, but you didn't.
You didn't
go to work prepared. You literally showed up at work with you showed up with your t-shirt and shorts and was like, hey, so what we doing today? And you're supposed to be in a business meeting. Everybody else got suits on.
It's like, where's your presentation?
And you have no presentation, no research done, and you just showed up like, so what's going on here? And you're the head.
Yeah,
you're the boss. And you just showed up like, what's going on here? You just got bounced off the board.
You gotta be sharper than that. Yeah. It's funny because I went ahead to look up statute to get
to clarify.
To clarify. And it's funny because I might ask you to look it up in the 4th edition, because I feel like this one's being it's obfuscating for no real reason. But I'll give it to you real quick.
It's always for a reason.
Yeah. So watch this, because I love how they stated this. Statute: a law passed by a legislative body, specifically legislation enacted by any lawmaking body, including legislators, administrative boards, and municipal courts. The term act is interchangeable as a synonym. And for each of the sub-entries listed below, act is sometimes substituted for statute. They said the same thing twice. But you see, I love how they do it, because they tell you that it's a law passed by a legislative body. I know you can always go deeper into legislative law and the comedic irony, and then I love how they use the word. You know how we always talk about those special words when you're reading this type of language. They said including, and then they named all the boards and bodies to which the legislative law applies. Man, it's because if they say including and don't and you're not included, then guess what? You're not included. But Those are my two favorite words these days, and including. So good at describing what's in front of you.
Man,
Oh, it's
statute.
yours. I
Man,
can't wait to read this.
oh, statute is great here. Oh wow. Mind you, I am taking it like literally out of the book. This is all context, really written in this big, thick, lifting weight book right here. I'm gonna start doing curls with this joint. An act of the legislator declaring, commanding, or prohibiting something, a particular law enacted and established by the will of the legislative department of government. Doesn't say people. Law. It says law enacted and established by the will of the legislative department of government. Let me finish this.
Go ahead.
The written will of the legislator solemnly expressed according to the forms necessary to constitute it the law of the state. Now, second part.
Mm-hmm.
This word is used to designate the written law in contradistinction to the unwritten law.
Hey, yo.
See common law.
Wow, they put the answer right there for you. Wow.
Yeah.
That's gold.
See common law. The unwritten law, common law.
As opposed, yes.
And contradistinction.
A contradistinction. I apologize.
Unwritten law.
Hey, did you see where it said, what was that they said about of the state? They made sure to let you know that.
Oh, the written will of the legislator solemnly expressed according to the forms necessary to constitute it the law of the state.
Yeah, not law of the land. They constantly.
They constantly say, yes, this state law is law of the land. No, it is law of the state.
And then they in contradistinction to.
No, what we read.
The law of the land.
Law of the land is common law.
Yeah.
Hell versus Hinkle told you. So,
I'm sorry. Can I? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I want to do one thing. Like, I feel like we should hold a Jeopardy session. Like, what particular documentation did we read off today that perfectly explains what is going on here with all this legislative law nonsense that we're reading about, and just statutes and all that good stuff? What could help arm you against that? There's one thing I read earlier today that's like, ding, ding, ding. All right. Well, here, I'm just give it to you. Article 3, Section 2. Literally, it tells you why that's all nonsense and doesn't apply to you. It tells you who they're allowed, admiralty, maritime jurisdiction only. Between these parties, what does legislative law have to do with you as a free man or woman on the land in your private capacity? Now, when you step into the public, you got to understand you're in the public. But in your private capacity, what does any of that have to do with you?
Yeah.
It's like the questions answer themselves. It's beautiful. That was just such a beautiful full circle. Hold on, I'm going to stop that.
Man, this is crazy. Because here you can also have right underneath it, they have foreign. Right underneath it, they have foreign and civil law, which is the statutes or statute law is civil law. Law of commerce, law of trade, whatever. It says any particular municipal law or usage through resting for the authority of judicial decisions or particulars of nations. That's civil law. Municipal. It says municipal.
Municipal.
It's municipal law. It's civil law. Foreign and civil law is municipal law. Municipalities are businesses.
Man. Huh. So that's very interesting. I mean, we already know what our God-given rights are. the idea of civil rights seems redundant, and it almost seems like purposefully falsifying the matter. Now that I hear this
Well,
all.
if you're talking about civil rights, you're talking about civil privileges because it's dependent upon what is it? Municipal law.
Yeah, which is back to Admiralty Maritime. That's commercial.
Yeah,
That's
so
how cities do business.
Municipal laws is it's different than common law.
It's outside.
Law of men and women. So
yeah. Man, I love how this law just came full circle. Oh yeah, so I think for all you playing at home, we should be able to figure out why laws must be voted in.
Yes, laws of men and women must be voted in. That's why they're put on the ballot. They tell you, hey, we have this resolution 1, 2, 3 we need to pass, and we need to be voted on by the people in order to make it law. They literally said that. In order to make it law, we need to vote it on by the people. And whatever the people decide, that will be the law.
Yep.
At the same time, you heard Governor whatever wrote into law this passage, and you're like, oh, man, well, that's the law now. So what was the point of you doing the whole, we need you to vote for this to whether or not it will be law or not, and then saying, well, the governor decided to write laws now. It can't be both. Right. Or can it?
Well, you know what my vote is. I guess it all depends on your ability to interpret what's being presented in front of you.
What is it? Will you lose some of your rights? Maybe. Maybe.
One of the most savage moments I've ever seen on live television.
Yeah, that's still going to go down in history right there. That's going down in history for the people who understand it.
Yeah, if you ever needed to understand what was going on, the government official just told you. So we're going to get them rights. Man, they're literally trying to take them. I mean, they're God-given, so bless their hearts. But, I mean, y'all might not know better.
That sounds like a major problem for you.
I be trying to tell people, man, like, read the Constitution. You know, I have friends in the military. I had them the other day. They were like, yo, man, you really got me thinking. I was like, what? You're in the military. You ain't read the Constitution?
No. 99, I won't say 99. You have a good majority of people within the military who have never read the Constitution. They've only heard about it from people they know. And usually it's somebody they think and highly of.
Yeah,
so whatever
so
whatever the person that they think highly of said must be true. Because God forbid me to actually look it up and determine and research and live my own life as opposed to have somebody tell me what my life is.
Man, you know, it's funny you should say that. That reminds me of George Carlin. He had this he had said something. He's like, I'm tired of people telling me who my hero should be. You know, and we should all feel, you know, ever since I heard that, it kind of lived with me. I was like, yeah, because, you know, they'll glamorize them. It's certain people you'll notice that the government, the media, whoever, some greater, you know, bodies tend to be, they'll put some people in front of you and tell you these are the people you should revere. And now, anytime I see that now, I'm actually instantly skeptical. Not even gonna lie. But hey, as we read all this information to you, I think we're trying to tell y'all a healthy dose of skepticism may enrich your life greatly. You may learn something.
As we say, and we'll continue to say, Google it. It's in plain sight.
They ain't even burning the books no more.
They don't need to. Nobody uses books.
Yeah, well, they're digitizing and systematically scrubbing them. So good luck for you there. Because see how we have the official hardback copies.
This is why this book is hundreds of dollars.
Oh man,
hundreds of dollars. Not like $50.
100.
Not like $100, hundreds of dollars
Man,
with an S on it.
I used to, like I said about the Library of Alexandria, the books were burned so that you may not learn. But now they ain't even burned anymore.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we do this for you.
Hey, this was a fun one. I mean, I hope it was informative. I had to strongly proclaim that I even found it informative at certain junctures. I mean, we the ones studying it.
Yeah. I mean, even during this cast, I've as you saw us reading off things, it was actually new information that was
I had fun
learned.
learning about the Iroquois.
So if you can learn information while you're disseminating information, it's always a great day, because you should always learn something new every single day. You know, if I can learn something new while I'm teaching someone else something new, then that's a great day.
Man, that's like Inception on a knowledge level.
Yep.
And that's my kind of day. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I swear, every time I learn something, I put it in my cabin. Like, man, I learned something today, and I try to hang on to it.
Put that feather in the cap.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be like a football player. I want a bunch of stickers on my helmet.
But yeah, man, I feel like we covered that in full depth. We hit every bullet point today.
Yeah, hit every bullet point. Learn stuff. Honestly, as always, please do not take our word for it. Do not take Plain Sight's word for it. Do not take Bach's word for it, because Bach really ain't talked today. he was listening too, just like everybody else.
Yeah, he was listening and learning.
And great info, man. Just wow.
He gonna be able to enrich someone else today.
Yeah, I'm learning.
I mean, don't take our word for it, because we were learning it while you were learning. So, I mean, you Google it. It's in plain sight. Literally.
Yes, sir.
Man.
All over it. Got my little notes, man. Gonna dive in today, and yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have a lot more to say about the secret framers of the Constitution, because I'm amazed that this knowledge isn't like widely disseminated. I think people would respect and appreciate the Constitution a lot more if they understood the native or the indigenous, either word, origins of it.
I would think people would put more respect on it just simply because of how much went into it. The actual writing and the wording and terminology in the documentation. Like, nothing was said or written out of place. They did not mix words. They did not mess up. They made sure it was completely written the way it needed to be read and wrote before they signed it.
Man,
every word matters literally on the document. Every single word.
That joint is written with divine protection encapsulated in the document.
Yeah, actually in the document. Yes. It is encapsulated in the document. Divine protection. Like, no government, no individual claiming to have rulership or kingship over you can overstep God. It is written into the document.
It's funny. I would love for y'all to look up God. We done with the cast, so I'm not going to say nothing else about it today. But yeah, y'all should look up the definition of God and get back to me. It'll probably come up again.
Yeah, it'll probably come up again.
I guarantee it.
Yeah. But as we say, we do this as a labor of love. We do this because we love you. Ain't nobody paying us to do this.
Not at all.
We're doing this out of our free will and love for the people, and wanting to make sure that you actually get to all the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness that you should be getting, and get to enjoy that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And don't have it taken away from you in a spur of a moment because someone wants to claim that they own you.
Yeah, they can't be judge, jury, and executioner on your life. Let's protect ourselves out here.
Yeah, protect yourself at all times, just like they say. Yeah, it's a boxing match out here. Don't get beat up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks again, man. Appreciate all the knowledge and information y'all give on here, man. Gotta keep this thing right, man. Y'all doing it big, man. I love it. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you giving us the platform to
Absolutely.
share information.
Absolutely, man. Until next time.
All right.
Peace.